So, is there mountain biking in Florida? This is a statement that creates a lot of wonder, like seeing a unicorn for the first time.
Holy Clayton, is that a unicorn?
But before I answer that question, let's get into the reason why I'm making this video. I hear it all the time on the trailhead. Maybe there was a onlooker or somebody who just stumbled upon this trail system. They're wondering, is there actually mountain biking in Florida? They're usually from out of state and they actually do mountain bike themselves, but they're just not sure if there is such a thing in Florida since it's such a flat state. And they're always shocked to hear that the mountain biking in Florida is very diverse and it's some of the best trails that I've ridden personally. It is a lot different, so take that with a grain of salt. I don't know if I've been talking too long, but we'll get into the discussion and switch over to a voiceover and check out some of the reasons why Florida mountain biking, in my opinion, is some of the best mountain biking in the country. Let's go. So for the impatient, here's a quick list of pros and cons of mountain biking in Florida. And after we cover this pros and cons list, we'll talk about and compare Florida mountain biking to other non-Florida states. If you know of any other trails or trail features here in Florida that I didn't mention, then please comment down below and let the other riders know about them. It will help out the community, especially if other riders are watching this video outside of Florida. I couldn't cover all the stuff that I wanted to in this video, but it will for sure be a video series that I will continue to build on and evolve with. So yeah, if you know of anything, just comment down below and let the other riders know.
And don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe.
So this isn't going to be an apples to apples comparison of mountain biking in Florida versus Bellingham, Washington, or Pisgah, North Carolina. Maybe you'll like what you hear, maybe you won't, but the main goal is to showcase Florida riding as well as compare, critique, and conclude if Florida mountain biking trails can hold up to some of the nation's other great trail systems.
Now let's crack into it. Number 1, all-season riding.
The further you are north or the higher elevation equals more snow and less riding during the winter time. They don't call it the Sunshine State for nothing. Even on the coldest winter days, it could be clear blue skies and perfectly sunny. These happen to be my favorite winter days, and it's typically the best riding weather from November to April. This means competitive riders get to train harder for more of the year, and recreational riders have beautiful riding conditions too.
Number 2, innovative trails.
This is going to be a hot topic, but in my opinion, Florida has some of the most innovative trails because we have to make up for zero elevation. Instead, we take a small area and jam it packed with some of the best flow, single track, and jump lines. It's also hard to explain the feeling of twisting through the jungle-rich vegetation on the beach in one part of the state and then traveling a couple hours north to ride dry, rocky terrain reminiscent of what you might find in Colorado.
Number 3, easily accessible.
Without much driving or navigation required, you could find a trail system roughly 30 minutes from any major city in Florida. And yes, I mapped it. The majority of the trails are also free, with the exception of some of the bigger parks being maintained within a state park gate. Some trails are even nestled in suburban neighborhoods, so not having a car is no issue.
Number 4, diversity.
Now this is what I really love about riding in Florida. We have short trails, long trails, we even have tall trails, beach trails, rail trails, not to mention small trails. Rocky trails, rooty trails, sandy trails, steep trails, gator trails, and urban trails. Okay, but really, we have some of the most diverse trails here in Florida, ranging from Miami to Tallahassee, Tampa to Daytona. There is something here for everyone and progression to bring your riding to the next level.
And number 5, tropical vibes.
There aren't many places you could ride a trail on an island, take a dip in the ocean, clean up, and hit the nightlife. In And funny enough, the further south you go in Florida, the more innovation is being brought to the sport due to the large amount of interest and community members that have transplanted here from other parts of the country. Now let's get on to the downsides.
Number 1, brutal heat in the summertime.
Yes, that all-season riding has a double-edged sword. Come April, most riders are wishing to turn back time or jump ahead. The summers here are brutal and should be taken very seriously if you're planning on hitting the trail and you're from out of state. Most North Florida trails are covered with pine canopy, but escaping the heat and humidity is a losing battle. South Florida only gets worse. The jump in temperature from Melbourne south can be up to 20 degrees Fahrenheit, and the humidity is off the charts. Mix that with many exposed trail systems and it makes for hell-like riding weather, or makes for stronger training if you're an XC guy.
Number 2, very minimal elevation.
The same thing that makes us very innovative is also a drag to some. Most of our elevation comes from old mining areas, and steep power climbs and quick downhills are the majority of what's to offer here, with some exceptions. It tends to be a mix of flat single track and short features, with some of the standout trails offering a lot more. I'll talk about those at the end. If you're a die-hard all-mountain rider, there are trails that will be more preferable, like Alafaya, Tom Brown, or Santos.
Number 3, no postcard views.
Okay, so it's not as if we have zero views, but in comparison to mountainous regions like Pisgah Forest or high desert and canyons out west, we aren't really working with a ton of postcard views here on our trails. In fact, we only have a handful of really scenic viewpoints from a trail, South Florida offering some ocean views, and Central Florida offering some treetop views and maybe a gator. That being said, if you consider the natural terrain as a whole, you will find yourself engulfed in some of the most beautiful Florida vegetation on the majority of the trail systems down here in Florida.
Number 4, not as mainstream.
This video is a perfect example of why mountain biking isn't mainstream in Florida. There are areas like Tampa and Miami that offer a large community, but in the rest of Florida, it's just not as popular. This makes for less riders on the trail and less interest in trail work, events, and opportunity to expand the sport. From Central Florida north, it's a rarity to see packed lots, young families riding, or even a mountain bike sighting altogether. That said, it makes the community pretty tight and welcoming.
And number 5, no shuttles or lifts.
If you are from a place that offers lift access or you're used to shuttling up and riding down, those days are over. Our highest elevation is about 300 feet, and well, you might as well move to Georgia or Alabama because it's on the most northern border of the state. The only force that will get the bike moving here is man-made. Pedaling and hoping for some flow, which Florida has a lot to offer. So what about comparing the riding to some other states? Well, we know that the elevation isn't here, but how does it compete? Let's use some of the best trails in Florida for examples. Santos, Alafaya, and Markham. They all offer at least 10 miles of trail and offer features that any rider would be happy with, including jumps, drops, rocks, smooth flow, wood features, tree cover, and elevation. Let's take a look at a trail map of Alafaya, which is in the Tampa area, and compare it to a trail map of Fruita, Colorado, and one of Pisgah, North Carolina. We can clearly see a different style of trails. The main difference I see in experience outside of Florida is with so much elevation, the trails have to maintain a single direction for much longer, so you're typically riding straight for much longer. In Florida, we have winding, flowing single track in small areas, which makes for a lot of directional change. Not to say it's more fun, but it's just a different experience altogether, and I think everyone should experience it, especially if you're into the sport of mountain biking. The 3 trails I mentioned also offer ridge lines and elevation while maintaining the winding direction, which makes for tight, fast-flowing single track. It's some of the most fun trails I have ever ridden, and it really makes you feel like you're Crash Bandicoot ripping through the jungle. So to wrap things up, what can you expect out of Florida mountain biking? A lot of diversity with tight winding trails. Many of the trails will offer pump tracks and have expert jump sections. You won't be seeing many postcard scenes, but you will be surrounded by nature and woods and expect to be pedaling. A few trails of note that I didn't mention would be my home trails, Graham Swamp and Malacompra, Grapefruit Trails, which is about 3 miles of single track with the best mountain bike jump lines in Florida. Carter Road is a less popular trail near Alafaya and part of the ABC trails. And the Paisley Woods 20-mile loop is a great Florida epic ride situated in the Pine Flats of Central Florida.
So that will be it for today's video, and the question that has been longing to be answered: is there mountain biking in Florida? Why, yes, there really is. I hope that this video opened up your mind about the sport, especially down here in Florida where we're living. If you are a Florida native and you haven't gotten a bike yet, or you're interested in mountain biking, please comment below and let me know why you're interested in mountain biking and how you plan on starting out in the sport, or where you ride currently and what you're riding. Other than that, get out there and create your own adventure however you can today. Spread some positivity, and I will see you on the next one.